Imagine, picture this. Okay. A quiet street, trees, nice houses,
Hmm.
Houston. It's January, cold,
Yeah.
and it's like just past midnight.
Okay.
And suddenly, gunshots, like out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
This isn't a movie or anything. This is what
Can't
happened
relate.
to a young woman named Galler Berzad.
Berzad, yeah.
She was a student, Iranian American. And this happened back in 2012, January 15th.
2000.
And here's the really crazy part. Someone was on the phone with her
With her when this happened?
when she was killed.
Yeah.
Her friends, Rabin Bandar,
Yeah.
he heard like everything.
Oh my God, that's awful.
So today we're going to, dive into this whole thing.
Yeah, this is a crazy case.
Trying to figure out like why, what was the motive? It just seems so senseless.
It really does. It's cases like this where you really need to understand why. Why did this happen?
Exactly. And that's what we're hoping to do, like take you through everything, the evidence, different theories, all that.
Right.
But first, let's go back to that night, January. We're going to actually listen to some of the 911 calls. Just, warning, they're pretty disturbing.
I can't imagine.
It's, the chaos, the terror, like you're right there.
Wow.
Hard to listen to.
Yeah. It makes it so real, what happened that night.
And it really shows how important Rabin's side of the story is.
Right, because he was the only one, right, who actually talked to her.
Right before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about what the detective found at the scene.
Mm.
Richard Bolton, he was one of the first ones there.
Okay.
He saw the passenger window shattered,
Mm-hmm.
Galler, she was slumped over, and her cell phone was just lying there.
On the floor.
On the floorboard, yeah. So at first, they thought, okay, maybe a robbery.
Like a carjacking?
Yeah, carjacking gone wrong. But some things didn't add up.
Didn't add up. Like what?
Like where it happened. It was a really quiet street, not like a high crime area or anything.
That's true.
And the shots, they were so precise.
Mm.
It just seemed more like targeted, not just random.
Okay, yeah, I see. So not a robbery, maybe.
And they didn't take anything from her either, so that was weird.
Nothing.
Nothing. So who was Galler? We talked to people who knew her, like really knew her,
Okay, yeah.
to get a better picture.
That's so important.
Her boyfriend, Corey Beavers, he said she was just so full of life.
Full of life.
Like the life of the party, always.
Always.
He talked about their relationship, how much they loved each other, all their dreams. It's clear they were really in love.
Oh, that's so sad.
And it reminds us, this is about a real person, not just a case.
It's easy to forget that sometimes.
We have to remember that. And then there's her friend, Kathy Sultani. She said Galler was never afraid to say what she thought. They actually met at a protest.
A protest? Okay.
Against the Iranian regime. Kathy said Galler was super loud that day, really passionate, about her beliefs, really connected to her heritage.
So we're seeing someone outspoken, passionate, involved in like political stuff?
Yeah, and it adds a whole other dimension to everything.
It does. It does.
And then there's her parents, Ibrahim and Mon. They talked about her as this bright, beautiful soul, someone who wanted to help others. She was studying to be a CSI expert.
Wow. What a tragic irony.
It really is. So it brings us back to that question. Who would want to do this?
Right. Who would want to hurt her?
Detectives, they often use this like framework. Love, money, pride.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Could it be like a jealous ex?
Hmm?
Or someone who wanted money?
Yeah.
Or maybe someone she like offended somehow?
Right. Right. It's a good way to narrow things down.
So let's go back to Rabin. He was on the phone with her.
Right. Yeah.
His story is crucial here. He was the last one to talk to her. And what he heard, it could be the key to all of this.
It's not just what he heard, though. It's how she was acting, too, right?
Exactly. Her tone, what she said, even when she didn't say anything.
Right. Like, what was she feeling? You can tell a lot from that.
And there's this one thing Rabin told the police. Right before the gunshots, Galler went quiet.
Quiet. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Yeah. Like something or someone caught her attention. And then she says, honey, not just once, twice.
Honey.
That's interesting. Yeah, he said she didn't really use that word unless she was excited or trying to get someone's attention.
So who is she talking to?
Exactly. And then a scream before the phone went dead.
Oh, my God.
Just imagine hearing that, knowing it's your friend. It's just chilling.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what that would be like.
And then Rabin, he went looking for her, driving around like crazy.
He must have been frantic.
He was, desperate to find her. But by the time he did, it was too late.
It's heartbreaking. It's easy to get caught up in the investigation, but there are real people who are affected by all of this.
Absolutely. And as we go deeper into this, we'll see how much this one event, this one act, changed so many lives. Okay, so we were talking about that honey thing, right?
Yeah, right before the gunshots.
It just seems like she might have known whoever attacked her.
It does make you think, right? It really changes things.
It throws that whole robbery idea out the window.
Exactly. And so now the investigation, it takes a whole new direction.
So what do?
Well, they started digging into her life, relationships, what she did, who she saw, hoping to find some kind of clue. Who was this honey?
Yes, yes.
But remember, this was 2012, no smartphones or anything like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it was a lot harder. They had to use like old school detective work.
Old school.
Yeah, like phone records, interviews, just trying to piece together what happened.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It was like finding a needle in a haystack.
But then there's this other thing, another detail that pops up.
Another detail.
It seemed totally random at first, like nothing to do with anything.
Okay, what was it?
Remember that story from the beginning about the young woman who escaped from a house back in like June 2011?
Oh, yeah. Before the murder.
Right.
Yeah.
It seemed like just a coincidence.
Well, sometimes coincidences, they aren't really coincidences, right? Especially in these kinds of cases.
Exactly. So it turns out this woman, she was actually the girlfriend of Galler's brother.
Whoa, really? Okay, so now we're seeing these things, these events, they're starting to come together.
It's like everything's connected.
It's like a ripple effect, one thing leads to another.
So what happened after she escaped? How did the police even figure out it was connected to Galler?
Well, she went straight to the police, told them everything about the abuse, the threats, the beatings. She was basically a prisoner in that house.
That's horrible.
It is, but what does this have to do with Galler?
Right.
How are they connected? Well, the house she escaped from, it belonged to a man named Ali Irsan.
Ali Irsan.
Yeah, and guess what? He was the father of Galler's brother's girlfriend.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's starting to make sense now.
So we have Ali Irsan, he's furious. His son's girlfriend escaped. And somehow, Galler gets caught up in all this.
So he's like trying to get revenge.
That's one theory. The investigators, they definitely considered that. So they start looking into this Ali Irsan. Who is he? What's he like? And what they found, well, it wasn't good.
What do you mean?
He was controlling, possessive, demanded everyone in his family obey him, no questions asked.
So maybe he wanted to punish anyone who defied him.
Could be. It's pretty scary to think about.
Yeah, it is.
But then, as they dug deeper, they found something even more disturbing, something that suggested a much darker motive.
Wait, what? What did they find?
Remember how we talked about fraud, stalking, and murder? Well, it turned out Ali Irsan, he had a whole history of lying and manipulating people, way beyond just his family. And it's all this web of lies that leads them to the truth about Galler's murder.
This is getting complicated.
It is.
How does it all fit together?
Well, to understand that, we need to go back to Ali Irsan's past, uncover his secrets, and then we'll finally see why Galler was killed.
So last time we were talking about Ali Irsan and his history of, being deceptive, manipulating people. It sounds like it goes way beyond just being a mad dad.
Yeah. You know what's really troubling? It's how much control he had over his family, especially his daughters. This wasn't just about punishing them. It was something much, much darker.
Darker.
What we're talking about are honor killings.
Honor killings. Okay, I'm not sure I really get that. What does that mean, like in this case?
Well, in some cultures, family honor is everything. And anything that seems like it threatens that honor, especially if it involves the women in the family, it can be like a justification for violence.
Wow.
And tragically, these honor killings, they're often done by family members themselves. It's this twisted way to restore that honor.
So you're saying Galler's murder, it was an honor killing and Ali Irsan was behind it. But why Galler? She didn't escape or anything.
That's where things get really, really complicated. Remember, Galler's brother was dating Ali Irsan's daughter.
Right.
And Ali Irsan hated that. Absolutely hated it.
Because she was dating someone outside their culture.
Right. He saw it as this huge betrayal, like it was staining his family's honor.
Wow.
But it was more than just that. It was about control. Ali Irsan, he had this history of dictating his daughter's lives, who they could see, what they could do, everything.
So when his daughter didn't listen, kept dating Galler's brother, he decided to do something about it. But why kill Galler instead of his own daughter or her boyfriend?
In Ali Irsan's mind, Galler was the problem. She was leading his daughter down the wrong path. He thought if he got rid of Galler, the relationship would end, and his family's honor would be, restored.
It's just sick.
It is. It's a completely messed up way of thinking.
So how did the police finally figure out it was Ellie or San?
Well, it was a long investigation, but they got a lucky break. They found evidence that linked Ali Irsan to another murder. The woman who escaped in 2011, remember her?
Yeah.
A few months after she got away, her husband was killed.
Are you saying Ali or San killed him too?
All the signs pointed to him. As they looked into it more, they saw this pattern. Ali Irsan had been stalking them, harassing them, threatening them.
This guy sounds like a nightmare.
He was dangerous, no question, capable of anything. And it was all this evidence, plus what people had seen and said, that finally led to his arrest. He was convicted for both murders.
So it wasn't a robbery at all, or some random act of violence. It was all planned. Revenge. And this crazy idea of honor and control.
This case just shows us how dangerous cultural extremism can be, and the lengths some people will go to control others.
It's been, I don't know, really disturbing going through this whole case. We started just wondering who killed Berzad, and now we've uncovered all this deceit, manipulation, and ultimately murder.
Motives are never simple. There's always more to the story. Personal stuff, cultural stuff, societal stuff, it's all tangled up together.
This has definitely been eye-opening. It's hard to believe something like this could happen in this day and age.
But it does. It shows us that extremism and the need to control, they're still out there. They can drive people to do terrible things.
We have to be aware of that.
Absolutely. We need to challenge these harmful ways of thinking and protect people who are vulnerable.
Well, I think we've learned a lot today about this case, about Berzad, and about the world we live in.
It's been good talking about all this with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. If you were as fascinated by this case as we were, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive. We've got more deep dives coming soon, more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, stay curious and stay safe.